Matt Connelly with the double biceps. It is in the contract a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. Oh, just making sure that the lawyers are happy, the boxes have been ticked. The man to my left, but it could be to your right, depending on what screen you are looking at. It is the co-host, the co-founder, the co-breather of air, the co-wearer of clothes. In this virtual room, it is none other than the master of disaster, the king of sting, the count of Monte Cristo. It is the Siberian bull. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year Award, the illustrious award held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is your friend and mine. It is Dave Stockbridge.
Well, thank you very much for that very warm welcome, Hollywood Matt Connelly. It's always a joy to be joining you here on Arm Wrestling Tonight, your five night a week, half an hour dose of arm wrestling. Usually we're bringing you some of the best up-and-coming stars from around the country and around the world. On this occasion, we are giving you, the people in the arm wrestling community, a toolkit so that you can just go away and start your own arm wrestling clubs. That's what we want. We know that a great arm wrestling community is built on great arm wrestling clubs. And one thing we know, for the sport to grow, we need more of these clubs. And the man on screen with me right now is Hollywood Matt Connelly. He knows all about community building. He has been instrumental in the growth of the SA Titans Arm Wrestling Club. As a matter of fact, I think he might have even named that club. That was previously, I can't even remember what it was called. It was just the club, but it is now known around the world as the SA Titans. And we're going to be talking about names, how important they are, nicknames, naming your club, creating a brand, getting a logo together, creating a social media presence. So if you are an arm wrestling fan and you've been thinking, you know what I need more people coming to my club, or I just need to get a club started because I don't have enough people around me to help sharpen my sword every week on the table, well, this podcast is meant for you. So Hollywood Matt Connelly, I'm going to be asking the questions of you tonight because you have, as I mentioned at the top, been instrumental in seeing the SA Titans Club flourish and really have seen it evolve into its current form. And it hasn't just all been by accident, of course. And first and foremost, we must pay homage to Tim Graham, the man that he is the godfather of arm wrestling here in South Australia. The club itself, the SA Titans didn't start off as the SA Titans. It started off as a gaggle of arm wrestling enthusiasts gathering in Tim Graham's carport. And from there, it's grown into what it is today, which is a healthy club, about 50 members gathering together in the club rooms every week, arm wrestling religiously at the same time each and every week. And I'm sure we're going to talk about timing and the importance of that and having consistency in venue and all of that. But Hollywood Matt Connelly, what made you want to get interested in becoming involved in an arm wrestling club? Surely it would have just been easier just to turn up and enjoy the sport without having to get so intrinsically involved so early on in your arm wrestling life.
Yeah, it was an interesting time because Tim Graham, as you said, he was running it out of his driveway when I first started, and it was completely on the other side of the city to me, which was a sort of a stalling point for me to kick things off at the start. It wasn't until I'd sort of had seen them at a couple of events, and I think it was the last one before I actually went to a practice was at one of the fitness expos that they had here, and I had surreptitiously said to my wife, like, oh, let's go and check out this fitness expo, but I had seen that the arm wrestling was going to be there because I wanted to go and try that again. But yeah, tried that again, met Tim again, obviously, and he said, why don't you just come out? Fine, okay, and drove the hour and 20 minutes to his house.
Wow.
Yeah. But I think
which is about as far as you can drive in Adelaide. Adelaide's not that big a place, so to get from one end to the other is about an hour or so. So it is a bit of a journey for you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Especially if you're driving really slow, which I was that day. I was Flintstoning the car or saving money. But it was at the point where we had moved into a community centre, and there was, I think when we started, there was maybe 5 or 6 of us that were regularly turning up into the community centre. I was all in on the sport, really enjoying it and wanting everyone else to come along. And it really dipped significantly for a while. I remember turning up there and there would be just Steve, or there would be just one other person, or or sometimes there would be no one there, and it was like, I'm really into this thing and I really want people to also be into it. And it sort of started to pick up. We got to about maybe 8 or 9 people that were regularly coming along, and I just started setting up my camera, and I would just film what was going on, and then I would.
Is this around COVID time, by the way, or is this about 5 years ago?
Yeah, it was just before COVID hit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably 6 months before, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I was filming, and then I would go, and at work I would edit on my phone all like just videos of just highlights and stuff like that. And I thought, well, it'd be funny if I give everyone a nickname, because it's a lot easier to remember people by their nickname as opposed to their actual name, especially if you walk into a room and there's 30 people and it's like, oh, that's Paul, that's Jim, that's Mike, that's Alan, that's Fred. And you're like, I don't know who the first guy was. I can't remember. But if you're like, that's the engineer, that's the Viking, and you're like, oh, yeah, okay, he looks like a Viking. Or like, yeah, all right, that makes sense. You know, it gives you that little anchor to remember people by. And it's kind of funny because people, when they have their nickname, they'll have those characteristics, and they really embrace it as well, which is.
And so, did any of the club members have any input into their own nickname, or is this something you just bestowed upon them?
Some of them did, but most of it, I think 90% of it, was me. And it was sort of, I tried to be very, very fair. Like, there's no derogatory nickname at all. You won't find any stupid nickname that makes somebody, you know, look bad or whatever. Yeah, but I remember looking at lists of like UFC fighter nicknames and being like, okay, because I'm struggling to come up with one for this guy or this girl. And it's like, man, because usually it'll either be their pulling style or their personality, or maybe there was a thing that happened and it's like, that's the funny thing and we're going to do it from that. And I'd be like, okay, I'm struggling. I've got nothing here. I've got to go through a list, and then to be like, oh, that sort of works. Or there was so many assassins. It's like, no. But it was.
So when you were filming what was going on at training, were these matches or were these just training videos, just guys on the table?
Yeah, it was literally just training pools. We didn't have many super matches at all back then. We had Tim and a fellow called Matt Bisco set up a super match, and I think that was one of the first ones that I had seen. And because they said, hey, we're going to do it in 4 weeks or whatever, I was like, okay, well, I got 4 weeks to, maybe I'll try to promote this and get some interest in it. Yeah. And so I made some posters and some highlight videos of both guys and just put that out. And I think it was more for fun for us just in the club that we've got this upcoming match.
Between the Viking and the engineer.
It was.
Yes. Yep.
I've probably still got the posters on my computer right now. But it was like an exciting thing for everyone to look forward to. The match was great. I filmed it and then edited it and put it up. So I was doing a lot of that stuff.
And with that first super match, did that create a little bit of hype between those people that had maybe been coming and going, who maybe not been there going every week, but that week everybody was going to come? Did it become a focal point and a reason for everybody to come to the club for that week?
Yeah, I think the people that knew that it was on and who had been following the Facebook page, which is another critical element, getting your stuff out there on social media. It's free. Just create a Facebook page for your club, and just, even if you haven't got a name for your club or logos or anything, just call it the Jonestown Arm Wrestling Club or whatever it is, and then you can adapt it.
Jonestown Assassins, maybe.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, there are so many assassins in the UFC. It's hilarious. But they're all variations.
So we'll talk a little bit about what you do on social media, because that's worth more than just a cursory kind of touch point. I think that's a whole subject matter that we should be drilling down into, and that anybody who is even thinking about starting or who is already actively involved in a club but wants to see their club grow needs to know more about. So we'll share with them a little bit more about your strategy and how that has worked. But that first super match drew some attention. You had 3 or 4 weeks in order to build a little bit of hype and, like say, as the unofficial club marketer guy, that you've just assumed that role and you've decided, look, I'm going to make a big deal out of this particular match and try and draw some attention to that match. And tell us how that ended up going. Like, did you get a few more people out that week, and what was the buzz like around the club in anticipation for this match?
Well, I think it just it created within the club that this was a thing. You know, it wasn't just training anymore. It was like, oh, there was an actual thing going on, because most people would be waiting for a tournament, and back then there was only one tournament a year.
Yeah.
And most of the time you go in the tournament, you get instantly knocked out, and that was your year of arm wrestling. And then you'd just be at training for the rest of the time. So to have another element where it was like, okay, this is another thing. Like, okay, well, this match happened between these two guys. It's like, well, that was a lot of fun, and the match itself was really good. So maybe I would like to have a match with them. And then, you know, it sort of snowballed a little bit, and everyone started. And I think we went for about 2 years straight with every Sunday we were having match after match after match, until everyone got injured, and then
and so that was really the beginning of Super Match Sunday at the SA Titans. Is that right? So that was kind of, you know, the idea was, well, we're going to go to training, but before we really start, we're going to have this match. We're going to, but everybody's going to watch, and it became a moment for some guys that have been training or working up to it, and it became their time to shine and their opportunity to be in the spotlight. And how did the club members, the athletes that were competing themselves, respond to that?
Yeah, really positively. It was a dramatic change, because all of a sudden they've gone from, let me look at the tournament that might be coming up in 10 months' time, to, oh, okay, well, we can have super matches. Well, I reckon I could beat that guy. Let me have a match with him. And then it's like, do you want to have a match next week? Yeah, cool. Okay, let's do it. And then they would tell me, hey, we're going to have a match. And I'm like, great, no worries. And I'd throw something together, like a little poster or just, you know, something. And then throughout the week, again, this is another key element. We've got the Facebook chat group, and yes. My God, the amount of messages that come through that thing every day.
I've had to turn the notifications off, to be honest with you. Like, but what I will say is that it's a wonderful a place that any of the guys can go 24 hours a day. Just drop a comment, share a thought, drop a meme in there. They're always going to get a reaction. There's always going to be somebody in there at 3 a.m. who just sees that and reacts, and it can just spark a conversation. And I would say, you know, it's been great for the club. It's been great for community building. I think really good for just the mental health for so many of the guys and girls that jump in on that, because they really do know that it doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is, that there's always going to be somebody there for them, which is really what being part of community is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was a significant element in the success of the club, because, as you said, it'd be like you'd load up your phone and it'd be like 145 new messages in the arm wrestling chat. You're like, oh man, because you'd have to scroll through and read everyone's thing to catch up on what was going on, because there was so much stuff constantly, and people challenging each other and talking trash and putting videos and photos and talking about techniques and all these different things. And as you said, it's there 24/7, and so it's sort of like the club never, you know, in person. In person, it's there Sunday nights, but throughout the rest of the week, it's in the arm wrestling chat. So yeah, it is a critical key to finding the success. And so yeah, just the fact that it's free and it's simple and it's readily available and people can just load it up. And if you've got 3 people, it's like, okay, we'll just create a group, and now you're in the group.
Yeah,
it's like great, and you can talk to each other.
With that group, is it one of the, it was one of those situations where you have to be a member, or you have to have gone to the club 3 or 4 times before you're allowed in? Or is it just simply, you know, if you're interested in arm wrestling, you've come along, you're part of the family now, bang, you're in?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
If you walk through those doors, we want you to stay.
Yep. And so you're welcome with open arms into that. It's no qualification required as such. It's just got a pulse. You came to the grooms. You're in. You're part of the club now.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And very much welcomed and supported to a way where, like, we really want you to stay because we want to have more people come into the sport.
Yeah.
As I said, when I would be turning up and there'd be one other person or just no one there, it was like, man, this thing might have just died. Like it was right on the edge of, well, there's no point doing this because no one's interested.
Yeah.
So to be able to get people that would turn up and be like, oh great, we've got someone. Like,
And,
please don't like leave. Like, come back again. We want,
and what I'll say, like 5 years down the track, I think we just had Brandon and Theon who are overseas arm wrestling at the moment, and they're posting all their videos and sharing with the rest of the group, the rest of the community, the rest of the club here, what they're up to. And of course, everybody's super interested because they've flown overseas and now they're hanging out with other arm wrestlers. I think Theon was on the table, was the number one guy in the Philippines, and getting some hints and tips. And they had a super match. I think Theon has a super match over there as well. And so to see, you guys that you see every Sunday now going on holidays or going overseas and spending time with other people within the the international arm wrestling community is really cool for the guys that are here who haven't had the chance to go overseas, because now they know there's this connection between their club and their guys and the rest of the arm wrestling world.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely a fantastic feeling. And even on Sunday just gone, there was a moment when I was refereeing one of the super matches, and I just looked around the room, and nearly everyone in the room either had an AWE shirt on or an SA Titans shirt on, and it was like, this is cool. Like, people really want to be here, and they really want to be representing, that they are part of this, and it was such a cool feeling, because it was like, okay, they've obviously gone, where's my arm wrestling shirt? I've got to put that on for tonight.
Yeah. I used to, my Uber driver just asked me if I was an arm wrestler because he saw the AWE shirt
Oh,
tonight. So, and then started telling me about Pro Punja League in India and how
oh,
cool it is. So
yeah.
it's a conversation starter these days. So I want to go back to, you were mentioning Super Match Sunday is born out of that match between Matt and Tim, and it then kicks on, and 2 years of super matches, and I think most Sundays there's still a super match on, or super match book. Doesn't always happen, much like my super match for this Sunday, but just gone. But there's usually something going on, but there's a reason for those super matches, isn't there? Because you devised very early on a ranking system, which I also think is a real critical element to this community building, where people can see an opportunity to rise in the ranks and keep in mind who it is that they want to shoot for, and maybe knock off the perch or take the ranking from. And so you've got some little rules around how that ranking system works, and you keep a tally as to how the history of the matches that each athlete's got. So there must be spreadsheets going on all over the place behind that computer of yours right there. But this is a real essential element, and I think one thing that some clubs don't completely get, but we found, or you found, particularly important, and one of those critical elements to encouraging people to compete and to get on that super match Sunday schedule.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see here, this is the spreadsheet of the match history. So we've got well, this is just an outlay of the matches that have taken place. And let me just go back to Excel so I can scroll down. You can see how long this list actually goes back. It goes back years, and if I get to the bottom, I've really got to scroll down. I'm going to use the window thing in the bottom here. But so I've recorded all the matches, and this is on our Facebook page. So all the members that come along to the club, at any time, they can go back and look at, well, what happened 5 years ago. And it's here, 1st of the 1st in 2020 was the first time we had a match. And that's who it was between. That was what the result was. And so it's all recorded there, which means that everything that you do in the club actually, it means something. It will be recorded. It will be reflected. And then the rankings here. So you've got your right arm, your left arm, and then I created an inactive list because sometimes people step away from the club for a certain amount of time, or they might be injured for a certain amount of time. So they're not.
So if you haven't
readily...
competed in 6 months or 12 months, but you're still around the club, but you, for whatever reason, you haven't been jumping on that super match table, you find yourself in that list over there.
Exactly.
The inactive
That's right.
list. That's
That's
where
right.
I am at the moment. Yes.
You are there at the moment, but the good thing about that list is that at any time you can challenge anybody in those positions. And so if you beat the number one guy, you're now the number one guy, and it doesn't matter what.
Who's number one right now? Taron Broad.
Taron Broad.
Taron Broad. All right. I don't think I'm challenging him anytime soon. I think Taron's quite safely in the number one spot for a little while longer. So, so this is a real good. This is really good for anybody who is looking at setting up a club or is currently running a club. The rankings do matter, and if people do want a copy of the spreadsheet or want an idea as to how Matt does keep these records and maintains these rankings, then please, we just encourage you to direct message Matt. He'd be more than happy to share with you his little system, which has worked so well for the Titans, and really, from a club that had but a handful of members to now having 50, and who almost everybody has been active or had a super match during their tenure in the club. You can see there that many of them are still actively competing and trying to rise through the ranks and or defend their position. And a ranking system is very definitely one of those critical elements in order to maintain, I guess, fairness, and also to answer that question as to, am I actually getting better? Am I getting better compared to those people in the club? And that's great for anybody to know.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was a little hesitant to put that in place because it was like everyone was getting along so well. Then the matches, even though I had recorded the outcome, it was like I was hesitant to put, okay, well, this is who's number one, and this is because I knew it was going to cause arguments straight away. And there's no perfect ranking system, and so I said, look, I'm going to go with opinion based to start things off, and it's just going to be, this is my opinion based on everyone that comes to training, what I've seen, what I think, and then if you don't agree with the ranking, then you are more than welcome to just challenge that person and take their rank. So the way it works now,
so it's the Ric Flair rule: to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Yeah, it's very simple. It's just like if you're in position 20 and you see somebody in 17, it's like, okay, well, let's have a match. Then if you win, you're now 17, they drop down to 18. So it works a lot simpler that way.
Awesome. So if we just quickly recap, we've got nicknames to make people memorable. We've got recording training, and then recording super matches, and then instigating a regular format that people know they will have that opportunity every week to have a super match with a referee. If indeed they want that opportunity, there will be that chance. And I'm guessing there has been several occasions over the years where there's been 3 or 4 super matches on a Sunday as well. So it's almost been like a mini tournament. And I guess that's the other thing. It is a super match formula that you're running within the club. We know a lot of clubs will run a tournament structure every now and again, but the super match format is just a bit more flexible to be able to implement on a weekly basis than, say, a tournament, which can be a lot of hard work for the person that's organising the tournament to be running on any more than maybe a once every 6-month basis, really. So now the other critical element is regularity. So training is at the SA Titans every Sunday between 5:45 and 7:45, often going later, but that's much later. That is, everybody knows now. I don't think you've missed a Sunday, including when it's been Christmas, Easter, or any other public holiday. It's been every Sunday for the best part of the last 5 years. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
So come rain, hail, or shine, there will be training. And it's been at the same venue. So that longevity of, now we know it's not always practical, and clubs will grow, and it won't always suit a club to just remain in the same place. But having that bedrock, that location, it doesn't make it easier to attract people. It doesn't make it easier for people to understand, where to go and what to do over a longer period of time, rather than going from place to place.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, significantly, and because it's so regular and people are familiar with it. Even people that maybe they come into the sport for a year or 6 months or 2 years, and then they step away, and then 2 years later they'll just happen to turn up, and it's like, oh yes, this is still here, it's still going. It's like, yeah, we haven't changed, like, and so they've got that, they know where it is, they know how it works. It's not that you're looking for a different location every week and where's training this week, or whose house is it going to be at, or which location is it, where do we get this, is there toilets. It's like it's all there. You've been there once, it's going to be the same every time. Except for last week when somebody drove a car through the community center and we had to do it outside of the community center.
But people knew where to go.
Yeah, so. But they still found us. But yeah, it is critical. But one of the things was that when Tim Graham, who was the man who started things off, and obviously we had progressed to the community center, and I started doing these videos and these matches and all that sort of thing. He got very busy with uni and work, and he didn't have enough time to dedicate to wanting to do the things where it's like, okay, well, these things will help to grow the club. And he was seen as the president of the club at that point. And there were opportunities that were coming up, and yourself, you had come into the club and said, hey, I'm loving this sport, I can see some things that we would love to do. And Tim was like, look, I'm just too busy, but Matt is doing a lot of stuff, because I was doing videos and all the rest of it. If you want to talk to him, and maybe we'll get things happening with that. And then I think a week later, Tim said to me, look, do you want to take over running the club or being the president or whatever? And because I've just literally, I can barely get to training. He was only coming once every 2 months or something, because he was always at uni.
Yeah.
But as soon as he asked, I was like, yeah, I'd love to. And my very first thing, I remember going home from training that night, jumping on Microsoft Word, and I wrote down my goals and objectives of what I wanted to achieve with the club. And one of the first things was naming the club. We didn't have a name for the club. It was just, the arm wrestling club. Yeah. It wasn't even a club. Well, it wasn't even called a club. It was just, there's arm wrestling here at this time. And so I wanted to have an identifiable brand that people could connect with. And so it was, we put a list of names in the chat, and we all sort of voted on it, and the Titans was the one that came out ahead. And it was like, great, okay, let me design some logos. And so jumped on a lot of free stuff out there, just jumped on websites. Titans, what can I find, and what's relevant to arm wrestling? And we came up with it's a bicep symbol with a circle. That's great, easy, simple. There we go. SA Titans, South Australian Titans Arm Wrestling Club. And got bumper stickers printed. I got T-shirts printed. With your assistance, you were instrumental in being able to provide those to people that were coming to because we ran a tournament or a couple of tournaments, and you had got all of our shirts printed with the logos, and we were able to give those to everyone who turned up. And so now I think a lot of the people, even on Sunday night, they're still wearing those ones from. As opposed to, okay, you've got to pay for the shirt or whatever. It's like, no, here's a shirt. Now you're part of this.
So getting a sponsor, or somebody like that, or a couple of sponsors, people on board that let's just quickly have a look at the arm wrestling world, for instance. All of the people that are running promotions or that are involved in arm wrestling at the moment started off as fans of the sport. They started off as as arm wrestlers themselves, and so you got like the Greg Sharps of the world, the Pravin Debasas. They're actually really successful business people that also just share that passion for arm wrestling. And so, these are people who, if they weren't getting behind arm wrestling, they're probably just sponsoring the local soccer team or the local netball team or the school basketball side, or they're getting behind something. And so it's really important for a club to kind of find those people and to encourage them to become financially supportive of what's going on. And it doesn't take a lot for a small club, a lot of money for a small club to really benefit from that investment either. So, if it's just a handful of T-shirts or a few trophies here and there or something like that, it makes a big difference to the morale of a club and doesn't actually take a whole lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there with people when, let's say, they get second on left hand under 70 kilos, but they get a trophy, and now that trophy's sitting on their mantelpiece, and they see it every day, and it's like, oh, that's my trophy, and people go, oh, what's that trophy for? Oh, it's my arm wrestling trophy. Oh, it's just
you're an arm wrestler. Yeah.
yeah. So, and it's just that little indicator of this was something that you have achieved. It's a recognition of your merit. But yeah, I think branding the club was one of the key elements into making people feel like, okay, this is a real thing. This isn't just we're turning up and goofing around. Like, no, it is a club. We have a structure. And I think one of the key elements is having somebody that is willing to or very motivated to get things done and not just talk about them. Yeah, because a lot of people will say, oh, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's like, well, it's been 6 years, you haven't started.
Yeah, and it is true. So you do need some galvanizing figures within a club. And you certainly have been that person who's taken what it was that Tim had started and has really, who kind of planted the seed, but you've been, tending to it. You've been watering that little seed and just letting it germinate and grow and grow and grow. And now it's grown into this massive oak tree and is now providing cover for the entire club and the whole community. So I guess it might be in some part happenstance that you got involved, but ultimately, without a key figure or two or three. Now, it would be fair to say that you are very much the instrumental president or the figure, the president of the club, the go-to guy. But you've got a good little group of people around you now that are also helping with the smooth running of the club and making sure that as the club grows, that there's other leaders there that can help with keeping this community together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the key elements is if you've got somebody that's a driving force, it inspires others to want to get on and help as well. And everyone at the club always says, what can I do to help out? Is there anything I can do? And everyone helps set up, everyone helps pack up. It's like we've got to move all the tables for a tournament. We need 4 people's cars, and then let's do it. And then as a group, we'll load the car tables in and help each other and support each other. And it's just one of those things that allows people to really work together to achieve something. But it does take motivation from key people that it's like we are pushing this forwards because other people will see that and want to jump on that, as opposed to, oh, what should we do? Well, let's talk about it and never do anything. It's like, well, I'm doing this thing. Do you want to come along or not? Like, it's going to happen regardless. So
for those people that I feel like, oh, I'm doing it, but it's I'm doing it all on my own, or it really the world does need you to do it on your own and to be that inspired person that is leading and pushing forward. Every club really needs that, but over time, the idea is that the more you do that, the more people you'll attract, the more talent. And actually, we're going to have Grant Law on the podcast tomorrow night. He's one of those now key people who's been adopted as a fatherly figure within the club, especially a club that's got a lot of younger men in it as well, and has become really actively involved and lends his considerable intellect and his acumen to the activities of the club now.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. There's so many friendships that have been born out of just the arm wrestling club, and people that hang out with each other, job opportunities. Now they're doing businesses together. Maybe they're doing this. They're seeing each other every Sunday at arm wrestling, but then they're talking afterwards about, I don't know, work that they were doing throughout the week, or now they're doing a film together, or now they're doing this together. And it's like, that's really cool. Like that this has come about because of the sport. But I think it's one of the critical elements here is that if you are the driving force, or you are the driving factor and wanting to make this thing work and make it grow, you can't be doing it for any other reason than you enjoy it. Because if you're expecting kudos and congratulations and look at me, I've done such a great job, and then you're destined to fail, because people aren't going to say that. It's like, the only reason you will be doing this because you want it to succeed, because it's to your benefit, because you love it so much. And when we got shut down in COVID, they shut down the community center. Can't arm wrestle anymore. I was like, I'm not stopping arm wrestling. And I would go, and every Sunday I would drive and like pick people up throughout the state, and then drive them to someone's house, and then drop them all back again, because I knew how easily this would drop off if I just didn't do anything.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. So we are getting to the end of our half hour here, but I really wanted to do this podcast because I felt like there's so much that people can learn from the experience of the SA Titans, and for a lot of people, they just kind of see, oh, there's a successful club. Okay, well, I want one of those, and really don't have the toolkit, the knowledge, and the expertise in order to make that happen. And you are a wonderful example as to how to get a club up and running, but importantly, how to keep a community together now over almost a 5-year period. So congratulations to you, Hollywood Matt Connelly, and thank you for all that you do for our sport, and not just what people, people from overseas and those people that tune into the podcast often just see, that public face and what you're doing with your podcasting and media and all of that. But the reality is you're entrenched at the grassroots, and if it wasn't for people like you, that there wouldn't be an arm wrestling community at all. And so we owe you a great debt of gratitude for all of your great work, and on behalf of everybody that's had the benefit of being part of the SA Titans, I want to thank you very much for all that you've done over the last few years.
Oh, very much appreciated. It's wonderful to get that feedback. And I say this anytime somebody says a similar comment to me. I say I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it.
Yeah. Well, I just want to recap a few things before we go. Nicknames, pretty important, pretty cool for marketing. 2, getting a chat group together. Get that chat group together. It doesn't matter if there's only 3 of you. It always starts with a few, and if you do stick together long enough, it'll end up being the many. Super match Sundays. If you're doing training, maybe make it a bit of an event. Plan it ahead. Do a little bit of promo. Become a promoter yourself of those people that are in your community, and put a spotlight on them, and then form a ranking system so that everybody's got an opportunity to step up the ranks and position themselves for that next super match, and have something to really train for. And ultimately, if you can get some shirts together, get a sponsor who's going to get behind what you're doing, then it'll certainly help encourage more and more people to be part of it. Have a regular training session at a regular location if you can. That's not somebody's house, but that might be, at a community centre, at places, plenty of those places that budding sporting clubs can secure for free. Councils like getting behind young clubs that are just bringing the community together. So check out where those spaces are in your part of the world, and try and book it in regularly so that everybody knows, even if they don't come every week, they know you will always be there. And of course, it's not just about the training. I know you guys, afterwards you're going out to dinner, you're hanging out afterwards. It's just part of the fun, and ultimately, helps galvanize the community even more so. So if you can take those tips away, and finally, the social media stuff, absolutely critical. It is free. get the Facebook page together. You've got your chat. Whenever you're making a video, drop it in. Drop the link in the chat. So everybody who is in your chat group, and there might be just 20 of you, but you're all in there. Encourage everybody to share that content out so that everybody, all of their friends, know that they're part of your club and community as well. And of course, from small things, big things grow, and over a period of time, the compounding effect of sharing social media content and raising awareness around your club is going to be absolutely critical to that club's success. So there's some helpful hints and tips for you. There's your toolkit for starting your club, or if you're in a club already, to see it grow into something that you would truly love to see. So again, thank you, Hollywood Matt Connelly, for all you do for the SA Titans, all you do for the arm wrestling community, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and ideas on how anybody can make an arm wrestling club great.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, as we wouldn't be where we were without your assistance and the assistance of all the amazing members at the club. So I'm one element, but it's everybody that works together there that makes it happen.
Absolutely. All of those people know who they are because they've got a nickname. So, thank you very much, Hollywood Matt Connelly. Thank you to everybody at the SA Times. Thank you to them who religiously also tune in each and every time to the podcast, both in the club and around the world. Those people that comment every time. We love you. We thank you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow night, where we'll have Grant Law on the podcast, and it is his birthday tomorrow, so we'll be hoping for birthday wishes in the comments. So we'll see you again tomorrow night.
Oh, thanks, guys. All right, we'll end it there if I could find the button.